Hey folks, this is Mark Maya. I am a photographer and educator here in the US on the East Coast. Today, I'm here with very special guest, Lukas Piatek. He is the founder of Looks Like Film and an amazing wedding photographer. Really stoked to have him join this series that I've been doing that I call Artist Talks. And so thankful that you guys are joining and leaving comments. I really appreciate you guys, and we will get to those. If you have not left a comment, if you're watching this, wherever you're watching this, just leave a comment and we'll find it. And myself or Lukas will try to ask the question or answer the question. So hey, Lukas, how you doing?
Pretty good. And you, mate?
Doing good. Thank you. Well, I'm really excited to have you. So talk to us. Where are you at right now?
I'm in Germany, so I'm in my hometown. The hometown is called Bottrop. It's a pretty small place, so it's not very known.
Sure, for sure. What time is it there, by the way?
It's about 7 p.m. right now. So
okay. Yeah, it's like 12. It's almost 1 p.m. Eastern time here on the East Coast for all my audience, and so good. Everybody's awake. There's if you haven't seen the screenshot that I just posted of Lukas on the Looks Like Film site, you can check it out. It's really funny. He was just making an amazing face. So
very amazing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So okay. Well, let's just get started. Lukas, can you start off by talking to us about a few beginning things? So how long have you been a photographer? How long have you been an entrepreneur? How long have you been mixing those two? And how long, I don't know, whatever. Yeah.
Yes, so I started photography when I was 15.
Okay.
My grandfather bought me a small point and shoot camera, it was an old Sony Cybershot, and it was a pretty shitty camera actually, so nothing special.
Yeah.
But it had a pretty awesome macro mode. So in my first years when I was younger, I just did macro photos. So I took shots of insects, I took shots of flowers, I did a lot of water drops, and at some point reflections in my eye. And with those shots, I got quite some success on DeviantArt, if you know it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I took a shot of my eye one day, and the next morning I woke up and I had like 20,000 likes and 1,000 people messaged me.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool. So I was about 16 years old back then, and so I always wanted to be a photographer, but I somehow could not figure out if it's possible at all. And I did not think that people would actually pay for stuff that I do at some point.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a dream for me, but I never really tried to achieve it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. How long ago was it that you were doing your macro photography where you kind of got successful?
That was 15 years ago. So
15 years ago. Okay.
I'm 30 right now. So that's how it started. And back then I never thought about doing weddings or photographing people, for example. So that was nothing for me, nothing.
Sure.
And at some point I just kind of upgraded my camera to a Canon 30D. Mm-hmm. That was kind of cool back then. I had a band when I was 18, a metalcore screamo band. So when we toured around, I just took the camera with me and took some shots of the guys in the band, and kind of started doing shots of people. And so that's where I kind of noticed that there's also other ways of photographing and not only small objects.
Right.
The next.
Sorry.
No problem. The next time I upgraded was when I lived in Australia for a year, and I bought a 5D Mark II for this year because it just came out back then, and it had the video mode, like one of the first cameras with video.
Yeah.
And and this year in Australia kind of changed my life, I would say, because the year before I finished working, I did 3 years of graphic design, and I kind of noticed that it was nothing for me. So I did the same stuff like every day. I got to the office and just did boring stuff in Photoshop and InDesign, and that was it. So, and I kind of noticed that that's not what I want to do with my life. So I kind of enjoyed my stay in Australia because I had enough time that year to think about my future life.
Sure.
And there was one moment in Australia where it kind of kicked me into it. Like I was at the beach one morning, and that was about 8 months in Australia. So I took a lot of photos up to this point, and I got to the beach. I think it was about for 2 hours, just only in the morning for a swim, and then I got back to my car, and I saw from distance that somebody broke into my car. So there was glass lying all around the car. The window was broken, and the first thing I saw was, oh my god, my camera is gone. So if all those memories were gone, that would have kind of killed me. And I rushed to the car, opened it. My money was gone, my passport was gone, mobile phone, everything was gone, but they left the camera in my car for whatever reason. So and that kind of that was like the tipping point for me to actually go into photography.
Sure.
It was some sort of destiny for me, if that makes sense. So after I got home, I started doing photos.
How long ago was that, by the way?
That was 2009.
Yeah.
So then I got home 2010, and I had a Facebook page back then, but it was just about conceptual photography and the macro stuff that I told you about.
Yeah.
So then I got home and I started trying to do portraits. So that's how I started. And at one point, a friend of me asked me if I can shoot a wedding. So I said, yeah, no problem. I take my camera with me and take some shots. So I got there as a guest. So I was a guest anyways. I brought the camera along. I think the entire week before that, I just Googled wedding tips on how to photograph and what to do.
That's what we all do in the first wedding.
That's so I kind of thought I'm Jose Villa right now. So I showed up with my 5D Mark II and 2405. Yeah. That was everything. And I even rented a flash, but I had no idea how to use it. So nothing at all. So I got there, I took some shots, and they were quite decent in the end. So they liked the photos. I put them on website. People liked them. And I thought, okay, this could work out. So I made a sponsored post on Facebook for about $5. And I had 50 messages the next day for wedding inquiries. So then I booked the next year with that. So those were all low budget weddings, of course.
Sure.
And then I had to register a company, set up a website, and that's how it kind of started.
Right.
So and that's what I've been doing since then. Yeah. Now it's my doorbell. Hang on.
Yeah. No problem. Yeah. So we'll take this chance to let you guys know that I'll be doing lots more artist talks. If you want to look back and check out some of my previous artist talks, I've done some with Ron Brunheiser, Sam Hurd, Pablo Bequez, Victor Heimke, a few others, David Heydrich, all those guys. So if you folks out there watching want to check those out, I did leave a link to those other ones down here below in my blog. So anyways, hey, Lucas, you're back. I'll jump to some viewer questions here. Let's see. Andrea asked, what lens and gear do you bring to a wedding or an engagement session? And then kind of second question, also, do you use an assistant or a second shooter?
I just bring the 35 art and 51.2. That's it.
Okay.
So I'm not about gear at all. So in the beginning, I just tried to have as much gear as possible, but I kind of noticed that I just use 1 or 2 lenses anyway. So it was way too heavy and too kind of complicated to just carry everything around. So I've got the Moneymaker, I've got a 35 on the right side and a 50 on the left side. but I shoot the 35R like I would say 99% of the day. So
Yeah.
I just use the 50 for sunrise shots.
Got it.
Sorry, on sunset shots.
Sure. And then second question, do you shoot with other people or are you just kind of going solo generally?
Just alone. So I'm not sure if I could work with other people. So I'm I'm kind of like the quiet guy normally, and I just want to be for myself.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that will work out with another person. And I don't think I'm like the guy for a wedding duo, if that makes sense, because I kind of want to be in control of it, and I don't think that two people can achieve the same quality of images or the same style of images, because in my mind, like if you give 10 people the same gear, they all end up with different images. It doesn't matter because they all have their own style. They all have different heights. So if somebody's smaller than me, it will look different. And so I'm just for myself.
Sure, for sure. No, that makes sense. No, I'm very similar. Let's see. So that kind of hit another question as well. What was your favorite lens? Was the other question somebody was asking? That was Ashley Jameson also asked that. So Ashley is the 35 Sigma Art and 51.2. I assume it's Canon, right, Lucas?
Yeah. 35 like is the best lens for me out there, and I just bought a 20R today, so I ordered it.
Cool, very cool.
I saw some cool images in the groups, and then
I've got the 18 to 22 on the way. I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious how that's going to respond. So, but it's going to be cool. Let's see. So we talked about beginnings a little bit. Piggybacking off the beginnings, can you talk about, are there one or two really embarrassing stories from like when you first started out shooting other humans that you'd be willing to share?
Oh, honestly, not many. Like I had one wedding in the beginning, like I think it was the second one.
Yep.
Where I didn't connect with the people there. So they were kind of strange actually. So it was weird because we had an engagement shoot before, and the wife booked me for an engagement shoot and the wedding. And back then I didn't met the couples first. So I showed up to the shooting. It was in the morning, and then the guy approached me and said, hey dude, I would rather be at home on my couch and drink a beer. So I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, okay, cool, awesome. And then after half an hour, he just said, okay, done. I don't want to do this anymore. And then I shot the wedding like a month later, and it was kind of the same. So like it was not embarrassing, but I didn't feel comfortable being there.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So I didn't connect with them at all. For
sure. Yeah, that can be embarrassing and discouraging for sure. I think a lot of us have felt that way.
Hang on, one more. I think the most embarrassing was the wedding of my mother, which was last year, and was kind of weird because she just kind of told me what to do in the entire time. And I got so pissed that I think that were the worst wedding pictures that I've ever took.
Yeah.
Because she was a little bit tipsy in the end, and like I did not get one decent shot of her, so I didn't care, honestly.
Yeah, it sounds kind of fun though, at least. So whatever. Awesome, thank you for that. Connected to that in some sense, what's been your biggest challenge as either starting out or recently? Just I mean, you've been shooting for 15 years, God. So I think the last 15 years has been some of the most massive change in photography, but also digital art in general as an artist and in the rest of the world that we've ever seen. So I mean, what's been one of your biggest challenges?
Well, those 15 years, like they have been different for me, of course. And I would say just the past 5 years where I've got really into photography, like I learned how to control the camera and stuff. But before then it was just a hobby. And I was just shooting in auto mode. I had no idea what ISO is, what lens I should take for whatever reason. So just the past years have been this for me. So and challenge wise, I think the biggest challenge for me was to kind of find the way that I want to shoot. And because in the beginning, what I told you, I just Googled like the best wedding photographers out there, and I found Jose Villa, and I just tried to copy him in the beginning. So I bought his Context camera, and I bought the same film as he did. I sent it out to Rich's Photo Lab in California, and I told them to use his colors. So and well, I got the pictures that looked like his, but I didn't like them. So I kind of figured out, okay, what's your style, or what do you like? Because people might like it, but you don't like it. So and I think the biggest challenge was to actually find the style that I was, and that works the best for me, which is a little bit darker and moodier.
Sure, for sure. Where do you think photography is going in the next few years then? So you've seen a huge shift in the past few years, especially with what's popular and what's happening, and things are just happening so fast. What do you see happening in the next 5 to 10 years in photography?
That's a good question. I think the next 10 or 15 years it'll be way easier for beginners to do photography, because the cameras improve and stuff, and there are some cameras out there already where you can shift the depth of field later. So and look at all those Nikon cameras that have such a strong dynamic range, where you actually don't need to take care of the exposure. You just pull it up in post. You can just underexpose by, I don't know, 3 or 4 stops, and then you just pull it up in Lightroom, and it's the same image. And so I'm pretty sure it will be a pretty cool time for beginners. Yeah, and maybe a harder time for professionals.
Yeah, I mean, I've referred to this multiple times, but I love following Sam Hurd's his personal page. Once or twice he's talked about how he makes these really general statements that start wonderful conversations about, you're not a photographer if you dodge your burn. And I recently made a post where I was just responding after reflecting on that over the past year, and just seeing, graphic designers end up nowadays, it seems like they're becoming the best photographers. These guys who can really they understand color, they understand light, but then they also understand that their job's not done after they push that button. And so it's really interesting to see these not only photographers, but digital artists, these graphic designers, these craftsmen, illustrators coming in and changing this thing called photography, and us challenging what a photographer is. It's very, very interesting. And I love hearing that. It sounds like, you're also in that case. You're a graphic designer, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, all those cell phones coming out right now that are so awesome cameras as well. So
yeah. Did you see that Leica is coming out with like a phone? Did you see that?
A phone? No.
Yeah, I saw that. It popped in my feed about a month ago. Leica is making a smartphone.
Wow, didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and I'm sure that our phones will have RAW capabilities soon. I hope, where people can start doing that stuff in Lightroom as well. So that'll be fun. Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's interesting to see beginners having the opportunity to be successful, like you're saying, and maybe not taking 15 years like you like you're currently at. You're 15 years in, and I mean, so I guess that'll lead me into talking about looks like film and the Visco stuff that you have created and pioneered on Facebook. Can you talk about where you got the idea, and then also just the gumption to do something like looks like film over the past few years, because it's become pretty popular within a very, very specific community of photographers. Can you talk about it just a bit?
Yeah, sure. Like that was Halloween of 2014. I was sitting at home and I was looking for an image in the Visco group. because I saw that image like a week before that, but I couldn't remember the artist's name. So I just kept scrolling for minutes, and I couldn't find it because there are so many images posted there. Like it was just buried somewhere. Maybe I would have need to scroll like 2 or 3 hours to find it. So I just got the idea to maybe just kind of take out the best images of that group and just showcase them on a website. And then I posted a pretty shitty spam post in the group. I took one of my pictures and it said like attention. And then I just showed my idea, and I asked the people if they would find it nice to maybe take out the best images and put them on a website like every day. And many people agreed. So I just bought the domain. Of course, I had to find a name first, and because it was in the Visco group, and because Visco filters are supposed to mimic film, even though they can't, of course.
Sure.
I got a pretty catchy name out of it. Some people hate us for it because they expect that everything looks like film, like really. But it's just a name, and in the end, it kind of changed because the idea that I had in the beginning kind of grew into like a big community. So back then, I bought the domain. I built a very simple website on Squarespace. It was just one page. People sent me their images, and I put them up there. Like that was just one big wall, and you could see the artist's name, the preset that they used, and a link to the website. So that was the website in the first 2 months, and we had about 50,000 views in the first months. So that's where I kind of noticed, okay, this might work, because in the beginning I thought, okay, you'll do this for maybe like 3 or 4 weeks, and then it's gone. People lose interest, and you don't have time for it. But it kind of kept growing. So people sending images, and we got more views each and every day.
Yeah. And
then I came up with the idea of the blog, and to start interviews and stuff, and have different stuff featured on the website. And more people joined me on the team. Like I asked people to join from the group, and also picked some people out, like Jacob, for example. Yep. And now we're about 15 people from all around the world, doing different stuff there. And so back then it was just a Visco group, and then we needed to do our own group, of course.
Yep.
So that's Looks Like Film group right now, and that's how it started. And like I said, it kept growing and growing and growing.
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely gotten really successful, and it's helped me as a photographer understand my audience, as an educator, as a photographer and teacher of photographers. And yeah, it's just inspiring. It's been really interesting.
And the beauty about it is, like, we didn't advertise at all, and people just kept coming. And even the big names, they joined the group. Like, we didn't invite them at all. Like, Sam Hurd is in there with Nessa, Jonas Peterson, Ryan is in there, Sarah, Dylan, John Flanagan, like everybody's in there, and they all came by themselves. And
sure. Yeah, I remember listening to one of Sam Hurd's epic podcasts, and he mentioned you guys, and he was like, he even said, Looks Like Film is the new big thing, and that's the new thing. And I was like, man, that's so great for you, and what you're doing. And I was just, I was like, this is so cool how this has happened. Yeah, because I've been with you doing the thing in Visco from the beginning, and because I remember one of my images back when the like number was lower got into it a couple years ago, and I was like, man, this is so cool. And then when the Looks Like Film group popped up, I was like, this is interesting what's happening, and I was just curious to see if that would get as big, and it is. It's so interesting. I think as a online, I mean, you've turned yourself into an online entrepreneur now. So like you're not just a photographer anymore. I think that you came up with an idea, you saw a problem, and you came up with an idea that benefited you, but also a very, very large group of people. Do you have any tips or advice for people out there who also have good ideas like that, as far as getting started, seeing something through and actually following through, and I don't know, without getting discouraged like a lot of us artists like to do, because we're very spontaneous, and if we don't see instant gratification, sometimes we quit. So I mean, can you talk about that a bit?
No, I would just like it sounds stupid, but I would just do it. If you have an idea, if you don't do it, like there's no way for you to know if it would have worked out or not. So just sit down, try it. If it's not working, you can do something else or just quit it. It won't cost you anything. And if you have an awesome idea, and if you're really if you believe in it, then it'll be in success. So
yeah. Well, did you come up with this and also implement it totally by yourself? Did you have people? Did you bounce this off of other people? Did you bounce and throughout the process, have you been talking to people and consulting?
That film?
Yeah, with this idea.
Yeah, well, we have our own, of course, our staff group with the people that are working on it. So we just all collect ideas and we just try to find ways to make it more accessible to people, to make it feel like a community. And as I told you, we started in the Visco group, and that's where I reached out to Visco in the first place, and I tried to work with them, and I contacted them, and I told them about it, because back then it was just Visco images.
Yeah,
it was like the best advertisement they could get, but they didn't hear me. They didn't want to talk with me at all, and they never even offered a discount for the people in the group, and that's what I find kind of sad. And
sure.
Yeah, and that was kind of the point where I thought, okay, Visco is awesome, but they're just a company, and they might not give a shit about us.
Sure.
And we kind of try to build something out of it, and have a face. We're not a company; we're just normal people. We're other artists, and that's where I try to start come up with a preset idea to release presets from artists for artists, and that's where I reached out to Dreadleaf to work on this, and they were all positive about it. They offered discounts to the community, and so you could talk with them about it. So those guys are Richard and Amy from Canada, and they helped us build the presets thing with our Tribe Archipelago.
Sure. Yeah, and that's been great. That was my next question, actually, is that idea of this preset thing and the pros and cons of it's been really interesting to see, because it's brought a lot of people into the Looks Like Film and Visco community because of how beautiful and how appealing it is, and how it touches on the current thing that's popular, in Instagram and social media. But at the same time, the idea of selling someone's responses and slider movements is essentially what we're doing here. And it's I was talking with Ryan Longnecker a couple weeks ago on one of these about this, and I was like, you guys inspired me to start selling my own presets on my website, and I've started making money. It's been really interesting, and I've never thought that I would. Thank you. I never thought that I'd be able to, just that would be available for photographers, and it's been really cool, and it's so inspiring to see that you guys are valuing people's time they spend. So.
Like in the beginning, I did not think about presets at all, but as I kept doing the daily updates and people were sending me images, and I noticed that some of them use their own presets. So those were Ryan, for example, and Lauren and Chris, and as well Don and Helen. And so I kind of took them out of there and tried to talk with them about the presets, and they liked the idea, and we just started developing them, dated all the work, and then Redleaf kind of fine-tuned them, and that's how it started. And we have more artists coming up soon, and even some bigger names.
Cool. That's great. That's so wonderful. And it's just inspiring to see. And we're really thankful for you guys. And one of those questions, actually, Danny Sprague, I think is his name. I think he's pretty active in the group, but he was asking about the Visco group too. So there's your answer, Danny. And he also wants to see photos from your mom's wedding. So
no way, Danny.
And Alex James also says, listen to your mom, Lucas. Anyways,
tell him to shut up.
One of the first questions. Oh, from Danny actually. He also said, "Can Lukas please shut up?" ? So yeah.
Danny, you're fired. So.
Oh, sorry, Danny. Another question somebody asked. Let's see. Daniel Evans, I don't know if you know this person, but it says, what was the catalyst that resulted in you obtaining more destination work, and do you prefer it to local gigs?
Like this year will be the first year where I actually have more weddings outside of Germany. Mm-hmm. I had some last year, but it was nothing like worth talking about. Of course, I do like those more than those at home, because where I live here in Germany, we live in a very industrial place, an area.
Yeah.
So there's nothing pretty around here at all, nothing. So whenever I have the opportunity, of course, I prefer doing weddings outside here. So I have one wedding in Iceland this year in June. So that's where I looked forward most to. And yeah, I would always do those more as local gigs.
Sure. Let's see. Somebody else said, Tabby says, what do you think of prisming and the Ring of Fire? And I'll add on to that, what are other kind of trends that you see or predict that are happening? This is stuff that Sam Hurd has talked about a lot, and recently released that really interesting tutorial on his little brass pipe. So
I have a prism, but I don't use it that often anymore. In the beginning, I just tried to do every shot with it, like during the portrait session in the church, like trying to prism everything in there. And but I kind of noticed, okay, it's cool, but it's nothing that I would use like every time now. I just use it for special moments. I had one some years ago where the bride and groom were watching a video on a screen, and it was kind of like a video of their friends and family. And at one point, the grandfather of the groom was on the screen, but he already passed away the weeks before the wedding. So you could just see his emotion. He was just tearing up and crying. And I just took a shot of him and prismed the grandfather in the frame. So that's kind of the thing I use it for.
Sure.
And other things like the Ring of Fire, I have not used it before. I saw it in the group. I saw Sam's post that he did two days ago or 3 days ago about it. Yeah. What I do now is a lot of double exposures and freelancing, because Jacob Lofman got me more into freelance stuff. Sure. I tried it before, but I never really got a hang of it. But he just showed me how to do it correctly. So now I'm going to do it like every wedding for some shots.
Right on. Yeah, freelancing's fun. I enjoy doing that. And double exposures are one of my specialties. I'm actually in the process of creating an online course. I've actually checked this out.
Yeah.
Do a little advertising. Yeah, I'm actually doing my double exposure. It's backwards. Double exposure planning sheet. There it is. But anyways.
Well, we can advertise?
Oh, yeah. Maybe so. After I get it developed, I'm in the process of doing that. Yes, there we go. We'll do our advertisements.
Yeah, done.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And if I don't know, have you thought about doing any online teaching or education? I mean, I think you do that in one sense anyways, but I don't know.
Yeah, like honestly, I never thought about it, and I'm not sure what I can teach, because I honestly think that like the success that I got in the recent months and weeks is all because it looks like film. Like otherwise, yeah. I would just be a normal German photographer without any significance. And
sure.
But the groups and this project, it made me better, like as an artist, because just by looking at all those people that post their images, like it's so inspiring. And for me, it's like my biggest source of inspiration, and like the biggest source for me to get better. Like honestly.
Yeah, I love recently you and Jacob and some of the other guys with Look Like Film has been posting a lot more of your work, and I really, really like that. I like that you guys are showing that you're actively engaged and demonstrating that you guys are pushing yourselves just like the rest of the group is. It's really cool stuff.
I mean, some people just post their best work, but I don't want to wait like 2 months until I get a shot out there. Like I just post like nearly every day, and I don't care if it's a shitty image or not.
Yeah.
I post funny images with Jacob, so I honestly don't care.
Sure, for sure. Are there any other photographers specifically that you continually draw from individually, continually draw inspiration from? I know you've mentioned a few, but are there any that people may not know that you want to drop their name?
I would honestly say there's not one single person that I'm kind of focused on. It's really the entire community. Like I browse the groups, I get their emails every day, and like it would be a shame to kind of pinpoint one person and say, okay, this is the one person that's so awesome, that's inspiring me, because like nearly everyone is so amazing. It's kind of fascinating because normally would think that with a group of so many thousand people, you would have so many awful images posted in there, but like nearly every image is awesome, fascinating. So yeah.
It's interesting how much more the percentage of good images increases. It's really cool to see. It is, and I like that. It's some days it's humbling, and some days it's like, oh, that's really inspiring. So let's see. So talking about how you've been dealing with Looks Like Film for the past couple of years, and also as a photographer, it sounds like you're continually shooting as well. What are some things you do in your personal life, maybe that help you stay grounded to other humans apart from Facebook and Looks Like Film? What are some tactics you use?
Well, I don't think I have a reason to not be grounded in the first place, but like I live in the same place where I lived when I was younger, so I do the same stuff. I play soccer in the free time. I drive the same car that I have driven with 18 years. Like all those things, they don't matter to me. I'm just happy to have my family, my girlfriend, my animals, my dogs and my bunnies, and my hamster. So that's what I like, and yeah, like just being around them, just tells me that I'm in the right place and the place I want to be.
Cool. And do you live in a small town or a large city?
It's called a large city, but it's just 100,000 people. It's not that large here in Germany, in our area, because in the place where I live, it's just city connected to city to city to city. And in all those cities around us, we like the smallest city.
Very cool. Let me look at my list of questions here. Do you have any questions for me? I'm asking. I'm starting to have other photographers ask me a random question too.
Where are you right now?
I'm actually in Durham, North Carolina. So,
is that your studio right there behind you, or is it your room?
So I'm actually an educator. I teach at an art school, and this is my art school classroom that I teach in, actually. So, I actually don't have a personal studio, but this is the area that I teach in. There's my bike back there that I ride to work every day. There's my bonsai plant right back there. So, yeah, but I'm on the East Coast. We're in the same time zone as New York, and right down the road from, about 4 hours from Washington D.C. south. So
yeah, we've got a New York workshop coming up in October.
I saw that. That's really exciting. I've heard a lot of bad publicity on workshops this year. Do you want to speak into that?
Yeah, sure. Like we got a lot of trouble with the workshop because
you guys are charging a good amount for this thing, right?
Yeah, because it's New York. So
sure.
We made a poll in the groups about the place of the first workshop.
Yeah. And
people said New York. So that's the only reason we're doing it there. And I posted the lineup 2 days ago. And the thing is, the main idea was to have the same amount of women on the lineup as speakers and males. But because of other workshops running at the same time and women not being available and they having a contact clause where no compete contact clauses,
Right.
we could not book the women we wanted. So we had more males in the lineup. And I knew this might start a problem, but I was not prepared for that amount of people complaining. And so we posted it, and yeah, I took it down after an hour because I felt that it was wrong with us what we did. Like it was not, we did not do this on purpose. So yeah, we are changing the lineup right now. So we are kind of finished, and we will have the same amount of female speakers and male speakers then.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, and I think y'all's the lineup that I saw looks great so far. I'm excited about that. I mean, it's been interesting to see a lot of workshops pop up, and it seems like they're really valuable. But I'm also seeing some of these sites just say they're just not worth it. I mean, what is it about y'all's workshop that's going to be really special?
I think the first thing is that we're not somewhere in an awesome landscape. And it's easy to do a workshop somewhere in a mountain place or at the ocean, because just the scenery will make your images look better and cooler. And we kind of want to focus on actually doing stuff in places where you normally would not be. So on streets in New York and in backyards, buildings that block the sun. And we will focus also on business marketing, SEO stuff. So we just don't want to teach the artistic way of shooting. So we don't want to talk about composition and rule of thirds all the time. We just want to try to find other things to talk about. Because I saw so many workshops in the past year, and what I noticed was that in the end, they might all be the same because people just talk about the same things. And so we want to try to add more diversity into it. We're going to have some sort of motivation speech as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, so and the cool thing is, if you know the community of us in the groups, you know how the workshop will be. So you know all the guys speaking, you know all the people in the staff. So it's going to be a very funny thing, and hopefully a good time.
Sure. Yeah, it seems like those are the ones that are most successful and people are enjoying the most. Where
yeah, what I noticed is there are so many workshops coming up, like from everywhere, and you just see so many people doing it, and that's what kept me thinking about ours as well. And we will most likely do a free workshop in the future. So just to be different from the other workshops that charge for it.
Sure.
What I have in mind is doing workshops in places where people do not have the money to attend workshops, for whatever reason, because of money, exchange rates, people being too young or do not have the opportunity to fly somewhere. So I talked with some artists, and they agreed to do it without a fee. So we will look for people that are beginners and do not have the opportunities to go to other workshops and do a workshop for them.
That's great. That's wonderful. I think that's a really positive move for our community, and it's what we need. Let's see, another question here. What, connected to all that, Heidi asks, what would you advise? What advice would you give to a new photographer starting out?
I would not let him try to find a style by Googling or looking at other images. What I did in the beginning. So just to be for yourself and try to find your own style. And so you can find inspiration afterwards, but in the beginning, just try to focus on yourself and what makes you happy. So if you feel that the images that you took do not reflect yourself and you don't like them, then you should change them. So whenever you're happy with it, it's the way to go.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the key to sustainability and lasting in this business over time. Is being able to do what makes you happy. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? I mean, do you see yourself still doing this in 10 years? What's your vision 10, 15 years down the road?
Well, I hope so. Like this is just the beginning for us. So we just started Looks Like Film like 1 year and 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So I have so many things in my mind. We want to release a book in the future, maybe a magazine, and some more things I can't talk about right now.
Yeah.
Because I'm not allowed to actually.
Of course.
So, yeah, but there are many things that are in my head and in the next line for us. So there are many things to come.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited personally to see all that stuff, and I love that you guys are just popping on new ideas. It's just so inspiring, and I know that all our audiences are excited too, and inspired, and generally positive. So, let's see if I got any more questions that are interesting here. Everybody's questions are interesting, but some of them overlap. So, let's see. Okay. Alex James just asked, how do you deal with the challenges of political and social issues that may arise with certain issues that are posted in the group?
We just try to be as neutral as possible. So we have our own fights in our staff group, so we don't have the same beliefs and the mindset on some certain images. So, but when we try to speak with people, we just want to be as neutral as possible. We just had some images posted last week of Israeli soldiers, and there were some people that didn't like that, and they got very personal, and we had to ban some people because of that, because it got really dirty, like really dirty. Yeah. And like in those cases, we don't want to, what's the right word for it? Don't want to oppose our own beliefs on it.
Sure.
Yeah. So we don't care if the opinion that we have is presented or not. We just try to make everyone happy. So
yeah.
And it's not very easy at often. And but we have to figure out a way to do it. So
sure.
We can't please everyone. That's impossible.
Yeah, I mean, you guys do such a good job of dealing with that. I'm in so many different photography groups and seen them quickly go downhill, but you guys deal with that so well, and I do appreciate that, keeping it positive. Somebody just asked, actually, in our Google Hangout here, Dalmain Ashley, they asked what camera setups we both most commonly use. You already said you used the 5D Mark III with the 51.2 and the 35, right?
I used 260s, so I had a. I used the Mark II in the first years, and then I was just waiting for the Mark IV to arrive, because
right.
I couldn't justify upgrading to the Mark III from the Mark II.
Mm-hmm.
So and the Mark IV was not coming. But then I just tried out the 60, and I fell in love with it, and now I use 260s. Have the backup camera as the Mark II.
Okay.
And I also bought a Sony A7 II,
yep.
Just to play with it. But the 60s are like my go-to cameras and the best thing for me. I don't care if they don't have 2 card slots, because many people say, okay, that's too dangerous for weddings, and you gotta buy a Mark III. But come on, 10 years ago you also had just one roll of film or 1 card slot. So
sure. I use the 5D Mark III, and I don't even use the compact flash section generally. I just have my 64 gig SD. But some people are like, yeah, it's dangerous. But you know what? All the cards are gonna fail eventually. Whatever.
Yeah, and I never had a card fail on me, never, not even an image. So
sure. Yeah, so I use the 5D Mark III. My go-to lenses are also the 51.2 and the 35 Sigma. Recently I've been shooting a lot more with my Fujifilm X100. I also have the Sony. I have the Sony A7R. I bought it 2 years ago.
Okay.
and I actually just it's in route right now, but I'm getting a Sigma makes an adapter for the camera to put my lenses, my Canon and Sigma glass on it. It's a few $100s, so I'm curious to see how that responds in there. But I love me some mirrorless. They're cool. What do you think? What do you think about the mirrorless?
Yeah, well, I bought one of those cameras so just to try it out.
Yeah.
But I don't think I have the confidence right now to use them at weddings. So
sure.
I just I would not take them with me if I'm not 100% sure it works. So
right.
With the 60s and Sigma, I know that it'll hit the focus like every single time, and I cannot do that with a Sony.
Yeah, you know what's interesting though is my mirrorless cameras actually I have a hit rate that's higher with my Fuji and Sony. Yep, I do. Cool. You know, it's obviously not as beautiful. I don't have that shot, especially with the Sony. Honestly, my Fuji, I love that thing, and it's just a fantastic little camera to shoot with. It's so fun.
Whatever works for you, like I mean. Yeah. And especially the Sigma lenses are so different, and some are on point, some miss the focus like nearly every time, and they're kind of different. But if you're lucky and have one that works, just keep it.
I know. Well, you know, it's funny is I'm just getting back my 35 art from repair because I kicked it, and it did hit before, so we'll see what happens now. So I don't know, but. Our time is almost up. I think we've almost covered every question I have. Let me check and see if anybody else has got any quick other questions before we let you go and get back to your busy life. Danny is trolling my website. Thank you, Danny. Appreciate it. He says he's packing up his office, so I don't know what that means. I don't know. You got anything else you want to discuss, or again, another question you want to ask me before we head out of here?
Who's the next speaker on the interview?
You know, I've been emailing Dylan Howe for almost 7 months to do one of these, and I swear, Dylan, if you're watching, please email me back. He's the worst with email, with me at least. I think like once every month he'll respond to my like 5 emails where I'm like, hey, just checking back in, Dylan, and he's like, yeah, let's do it like next week, you know. And he's just such obviously an easygoing, fun guy, and he's obviously really busy, but he is in my lineup, and he's told me he's going to do it. So it is only a matter of time. So I have Nikki Boone, which I think you've done one of your Looks Like Film interviews with her.
Yeah.
Haven't you? Yeah. I have her in the lineup coming up soon. And then a few others that are just talking. I'm trying to get Ben Sasso as well. Talking to him a little bit and trying to get him on here. So those are the ones coming up soon, you know, all our people. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Man, you're doing a great job. So
thank you. Well, it's just, I just find it kind of like what you do. I find people that inspire me and, you know, and talk to them, you know, so it's a lot of fun. It
was a pleasure. So
yeah, this was a lot of fun. And again, thank you so much for your contribution to the photography community and what you're doing and just pushing it and hustling in a positive way and just bringing a much needed positive perspective and impact on our community.
I just think all the people and you guys, like it's just the people in the community that I still in there posting images, being so positive and just believe in this project, and that's awesome.
It is. So thank you again, and thank you guys so much for hanging with us for the past hour. Really appreciate it. If you're on my blog, all of Lucas's social media websites and his website are linked right down here below. Please click on them, follow him really quickly. It'll just take a second, and just leave him a comment on his website and just let him know you appreciate him. And then also go to the lookslikeFilm.com website and join the Facebook group. So thank you guys so much for joining us, and check back. We'll have some more artist talk soon. Have a wonderful day. See you guys.